morning, everyone. Today's video, I will be trying the daily routine of Saint Charbel Makhlouf. Now, quick backstory, he's a Lebanese Maronite Saint, canonized by Pope Paul VI in 1977. He's known for his deep devotion to the Eucharist. He spent many hours in contemplative prayer, and he's also been known for thousands of miracles where Christ has worked through him to heal people across the world. The reason I want to try out his daily routine, first of all, my family comes from Lebanon. There's the flag. And he's a saint I have a connection to, because when I was younger, I visited his monastery, and I do believe that Christ worked through him to help heal me of migraines that I used to deal with. So it's something that really means a lot to me. And I visit Lebanon nearly every year to see family, and I go to his monastery. It's beautiful. You can see his church, his tomb where he was. You can see letters where people would thank him for miracles and ask for intercessions. There's even a store there. There's a restaurant. There's a bunch of priests there. It's a beautiful place out in nature, up in the mountains, sometimes above the clouds. And I decided, you know what? Let's try the daily routine of Saint Charbel. Today is actually July 24, 2025, which is the feast day of Saint Charbel in the Latin Catholic Church. Now, the Maronite Church celebrated this last Sunday on the 19th, but today it's a feast day, so I was like, let's do it today, why not? So yeah, I'm a bit tired, but it's a little early in the morning, not too early. Saint Charbel would wake up pretty early, sometimes even around 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. to prepare for Mass, to start praying. So I'm gonna get my day started. I don't usually wake up this early, but let's do it, I'm actually gonna go outside, catch the sunrise. It started happening a few minutes ago, so let's go. Now, Saint Charbel, he'd actually wear very uncomfortable clothes made out of hair because he wanted to be humble. He wanted to, even put himself through pain to help grow his devotion, to detach from comforts of this world to grow closer in holiness. Now, I don't have clothes made out of hair, but when he would get dressed, he would wear things made out of hair, which really goes to show how much we can learn from the saints, how humble they really were and how devoted they are to God. So it truly is inspirational. It's always nice to wake up early because the weather is pretty nice and it's just quiet. It's nice to go out and relax. So I understand why Saint Charbel would wake up early, because I visited the monastery. It's very beautiful. It's up in the mountains. It's a beautiful place to be, to just sit out in nature and to pray. So I actually want to quickly discuss what he would do in a day, and I'll try to kind of go along with that. Of course, I can't do it perfectly, and he's also a priest, so he does things that I don't do and can't do, like holds Mass. I'm not a priest, so I can't do that. So he would start by 8 to 10 hours of prayer before receiving the Eucharist, and around 8 to 10 hours of prayer after receiving the Eucharist. Now, this is very powerful, and does that mean he was sitting like this, eyes closed all the time? Maybe. But I also know prayer is something you can do while moving. Like if you're helping someone in need, that could also be a form of prayer. If you're helping around the monastery, if you're holding Mass, that's devotion to God, which you could classify as prayer. The point is, he would spend so much time centered around the Eucharist. Catholics believe that the Eucharist is the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus Christ. And he was truly devoted to holding Mass and to loving the Eucharist. So basically, he would wake up, he would pray for a long time, he would have Mass, receive the Eucharist, he would also pray afterwards, and then he would have one meal a day, which consisted of olives and some vegetables and potatoes, things like that. And then he would work around the monastery doing some work, whatever, maybe some gardening or some physical work. And then he would continue to pray. He would go to adoration, and then he'd go to sleep. So what I'm going to try to do today is I already woke up. I'm going to pray a bit, enjoy some time out here in nature, read the Bible, read the Catechism, pray the Rosary, go to Mass, starts in a few hours, and then afterwards there's adoration, so try to go to adoration as well. I'm going to try and have a meal of some vegetables, and I'll pray afterwards. I'll do some physical work around my house as well, get some work I need to do for school and things like that, and then pray more and then call it a day. So yeah, I can't completely do his daily routine, but as you can see, I'll try my best to emulate it and see what we can learn from it, because there's always something to learn from the saints. All right, so I'm going to read some of the Bible, some of the catechism, and then pray some of the rosary. I'm actually doing podcast. It's Bible in a Year podcast with Essentially Presents Father Mike Schmitz. He does this where you go through the entire Bible in 1 year. And I'm also doing the Catechism in a Year podcast with Father Mike Schmitz. Essentially Presents Catechism in 1 year, and the Rosary in a Year podcast where you learn about the Rosary, you pray it throughout a year, and it's with Father Mark Mary Amis, and it's with Essentially Presents. So I recommend to do these. It's a great opportunity to learn. All right, just arrived at Catholic Church for Mass. It's a Latin Catholic Church. Time for lunch. So Saint Charbel, he would eat vegetables. He would rarely eat meat unless feast days, I think, and he would also rarely eat fruit unless it was feast days. He would usually eat olives and vegetables like potato, and he'd actually eat bread. If there was some rotten bread left over, he'd give the good bread to people around him, and he would take the rotten bread for himself. So now I'm just gonna try to make a similar meal. I have some sweet potato, slice of bread, it's not rotten though, some green beans and olives and some water. It's a pretty good meal. Let's have lunch, kind of like Saint Charbel. It's time for adoration. Saint Charbel spent a lot of time in adoration, so I want to try to learn from that and go to adoration more. So Saint Charbel, he would pray a lot, he would hold mass, he would attend Eucharistic adoration, but he would also work a lot around the monastery. He would work with gardening and cleaning and things like that. A lot of monks and hermits, they actually do a lot of work, a lot of physical labor as well. So I don't live in a monastery, but I'll try to do some work around the house, some cleaning and some schoolwork as well to kind of go along with that. So here we go. All right, everyone. Well, that's it. That's the day, trying to live like Saint Charbel. I learned a lot. It was a very great experience, of course. My daily routine comes nowhere close to how Saint Charbel lived. He lived such an intense, loving, humble lifestyle, and I pray to even grow a little bit more like that, because it's an incredible life that the saints live. It's inspiring, and I hope you learned something from this as well. I'm going to leave some links below in the description where you can read more about Saint Charbel Makhlouf and his life. And I hope it inspires you to be deeper in your devotion to God. You don't necessarily need to pray 10 hours a day in order to be, a Christian, but we can all take steps just really to try our best and to orient our hearts towards Christ. So it was humbling, because we live in this world where lots of greed, materialism, all these things where it's like, all about what you can get, what you can take in, whether it's social media, scrolling, seeing all these videos, taking in. But learning from the saints is very humbling to see what we can give out to the world, to live a calm, quiet life. That's a really good life to live, in contemplation of Christ and following him. So time to go to sleep. He would sleep on the floor with a tree trunk as his pillow. He didn't have to live that way, but he did. He really cared about Christ. And there was actually this miracle he did on this earth where they gave him as a prank an oil lamp with water, and then it turned on. It turned on. It was flammable. It doesn't really happen with water unless there's a miracle. So thank you all for watching, and I want to keep doing videos like this, not necessarily as some sort of challenge. It's not a challenge video. It's more so trying it out to see what I can learn, to teach you guys, and hopefully to inspire us all to grow closer to Christ. So thank you. Drop any video ideas in the comments. If you're new to the channel, basically what I want to do with this channel is spread the gospel, grow in my faith as a Catholic Christian, and also to travel, to explore the world. You know, I like sports like football, and I'd also like to do some challenges where we try to raise money for charities, whether it's through charity football matches, through traveling the world, things like that. So it's basically a channel about traveling, exploring, growing closer to Christ as the number one focus, though. So thank you so much for watching, and God bless you.